What does it mean to have a disability?
When I have a worry-filled mind, I like to wander outside. No telling what we might find. Birds calling, worms crawling, leaves falling down from above. Oh, I plant my feet on the ground. I keep my head in the clouds. I let my feelings out loud. I hear joy calling, fear crawling, tears falling down out of love.
Welcome, friends. This is A here. I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. Just like usual, we're going to start off by taking a moment to identify how we're feeling. We're going to listen to our brains and bodies and see what emotions or feelings are coming up for us right now. We're also going to use this feelings poster to help us name or identify a feeling. Now, you may feel differently than you felt earlier today, and you may feel different later today than you feel right now. That's okay. Our feelings change just like the weather. But right now, I want us to practice naming our feeling just as it is in this moment. So, listen to some of the messages that your body is sending you. Is your tummy feeling jittery or upset? Are you feeling nervous or worried or anxious? Is your body feeling calm and settled? Are you feeling peaceful, focused, or confident? I'm going to zoom in on this feelings poster so you can get a closer look. And I'm also going to work on identifying my own feeling. Let's give each other some time to do that. Did you find your feeling? Let's say it out loud. 3, 2, 1. Happy. Thanks for practicing identifying your feelings with me. As a reminder, even just saying the name of your feeling out loud can help your brain and body feel a little more comfortable. So if you haven't practiced it much before, that's okay. You can start practicing with me right now and continue to do it a little bit each day. You can also hit that red subscribe button so you can get reminders to practice along with me or check out some of my previous videos or lessons. And if you'd like to get your own copy of that feelings poster I've made, you can visit my Patreon, where you can get it as a thank you download for donating any money to the work that I make. Now, another thing that we always do together is move our bodies, and that also helps us feel a little bit more comfortable and settled. And we always check in with our friend Fig, who's showing us one of our moves for the day. Now, Fig doesn't tell us what they're doing, they just model it with their body. And you have to make some guesses. Now, we'll check back in with them soon. But to start us off, we're going to do some head rolls. And it is a new month as I'm making this video. It's December, and so we are going to do 12 head rolls. You can do them sitting or standing. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and this is 11. Wonderful work. Maybe you're feeling a little dizzy like me. Today is a very twisty-turvy day, and that was actually a hint to Fig's move. Did you guess what Fig is showing us? Twists, yes. We are going to do some twists, thanks Fig. And we started with 12 head rolls, and we're going to count down. So can you think for a moment, what number comes before 12? 11. Let's do 11 twists. Again, you can do them sitting or standing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Fabulous. Friends, I mentioned it was a twisty, turvy day, and we have one final move to do. What is something that might make you feel a little dizzy or twisted up? Spins. Now we did 12 head rolls and we did 11 twists. We're still counting down. How many spins should we try? 10 spins. Fabulous. Now, you may not feel comfortable doing 10 spins. That's okay. You can just spin your finger or pretend to spin your upper body, whatever is most comfortable for you. Let's do 10 spin moves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, friends, settle back into your space. Give your brain a second to figure out where it is and get comfortable again. We are going to do 3 big breaths because anytime we raise our heart rate or exercise or move our bodies, it's really helpful for us to cool back down and get more comfortable and settled. So listen for a bell. When you hear it, breathe in big and then slowly let your air out. Thanks so much for moving your body with me today. That's one example of how we can be mindful and really just focus on the present moment. And if you're curious to learn more about mindfulness, check out my most recent read aloud, Calm and Peaceful Mindful Me. I'm sure you'll love it. Now, earlier I asked if you knew what it meant to have a disability, and I have a message here that's going to help us understand a bit more and answer that question more clearly. Now remember, in my messages, I often hide alliterations, onomatopoeias, sometimes even spoonerisms, so be on the lookout for those. Dear diverse and delightful friends, People with Disabilities Day was celebrated recently on December 3rd, but people with disabilities exist all around the world every day and are always part of the community. A disability is when someone has a physical or mental limitation or difference. Some people are born with a disability, like being autistic or having an extra chromosome in your DNA, commonly called Down syndrome. Others become disabled later in life due to an accident or a health issue. This could include losing sight or a limb. Do you have any disabilities or know someone who does? Love, Mrs. A. Do you have any disabilities or learning differences? Or maybe somebody in your family does. We've talked about some examples in the message. For example, you may become disabled later in life, or someone you know may be, by losing their sight, their ability to see, or maybe losing their sense of hearing, or becoming hard of hearing. Sometimes there are people who are born with disabilities. We mentioned some in that message, like Down syndrome and autism. Now, there are a lot of different ways that we are born and a lot of different ways we experience life, and so there are a lot of different disabilities. We're going to learn just about some today and look at these sweet stories to help us. But if you have a disability or know someone who does, I'd be curious if you want to share about it and your experience with it. You are always welcome to email me. My email's in the description. I also have some really amazing read alouds coming out this week and next week about disabilities and how we are all different, but we're all connected and part of one community. So be sure to check those out when they come out. The best way to do that is to make sure you're subscribed to my channel right now. Now, without further ado, let's look at some of these amazing stories. This first book is called I Talk Like a River, and it's by Jordan Scott and Sydney Smith. And this book is so beautifully illustrated, and the way it's written really helps me understand a little bit more what it is like to have a stutter. And a stutter, or a stammer, is when someone who is speaking has trouble getting all of the words out fluidly or in one way. And So this book talks about how this character talks like a river. And we won't read the whole thing together, but even just the parts we do enjoy together are really beautiful examples and reminders of how we may have some differences. In this case, how we speak. P is for the pine tree outside my bedroom window. C is for the crow in its branches. M for the moon fading in the morning sky. I wake up each morning with the sounds of words all around me, and I can't say them all. As I mentioned, this character has a stutter, and they have trouble saying all of the different sounds that they know exist and hear around them. The P in pine tree grows roots inside my mouth and tangles my tongue. The C is a crow that sticks in the back of my throat. The M in moon dusts my lips with a magic that makes me only mumble. These descriptions were really helpful in me understanding what it might be like to experience a stutter. They don't see a pine tree sticking out from my lips instead of a tongue. They don't hear a crow caw, caw from inside my throat. They don't hide their eyes from the moonlight that shines from my open mouth. All they hear is how I don't talk like them. All they see is how strange my face looks and that I can't hide how scared I am. My mouth isn't working. It's full with words of the morning. How do you think this character might be feeling? We hear that people hear that he doesn't talk like them and sees how his face may look strange when he's speaking. It does say that he's scared, yeah. Do you think he might be feeling uncomfortable or nervous? Maybe discouraged, sad. Mornings are always hard, but this one's especially tough. I'm more stuck than ever. My teacher says we'll all have to talk about our favorite place in the world. Today is my turn, but my mouth just isn't working and I want to go home. My dad picks me up from school. It's just a bad speech day, he says. Let's go somewhere quiet. And friends, if you grab this book from your library or from your local bookstore, you'll be able to hear more about how taking him to that quiet place helps him learn and realize that he talks like a river. And it's a really beautiful story. And it's a really beautiful reminder that we all have differences. Some of them may be visible, some of them not so visible. Now, this next book is another example of how we may experience things differently. And I love this book called I See, You See. And it's about siblings who are out on a walk and they are enjoying the environment and the world around them, and they're experiencing it a bit differently. It's kind of playful and the illustrations are really beautiful. So let's read together. I See, You See by Richard Jackson, illustrated by Patrice Barton. Mom calls, Maisie, walk the dog, will you? Me too, Jonah says to his sister. Walk me. Dogs pulling, Maisie pushing, they set off. Woof, 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 before they even get to the corner. Tinker! Look, Maisie, a tree of cats. I love how they are observing this tree and imagining it full of cats. A popsicle garden. Woof! A sky slide. See? I see Mr. Seagull waving. So they are noticing their environment and nature in pretty unique ways. And Maisie is busy walking their dog while Jonah is imagining all of these things. That's one way they're having a slightly different experience, though they're sharing it with each other. What's another way that they are experiencing this walk different from each other? Yeah, Jonah is in a wheelchair and Maisie is walking on her own. And so some disabilities require special tools or equipment, and it looks like Jonah uses a wheelchair to help him move around. And I love that they can still share a walk and time outside together, even if they are doing it slightly differently. This book, I See, You See, is a really sweet story about these siblings and their adventure, so be sure to check it out. And finally, one of my favorites, Rescue and Jessica, a life-changing friendship. As I mentioned in our message, some disabilities can happen later in life, and this is an example of that. This book was written by Jessica Kensky and Patrick Downs, illustrated by Scott Magoon. Rescue and Jessica, a life-changing friendship. On a special farm in the countryside, a pup named Rescue was in training. He was learning to help people who could not see, but he was worried. His trainer had just said, "You aren't meant to be a seeing eye dog." That was hard for Rescue to hear. Helping people who can't see was the family business. "The service dog team is better for you," his trainer said. "Service dogs work beside their partners instead of in front of them." Will I be a good service dog? Rescue wondered. What will my new partner be like? Will she like me? Rescue didn't want to let anyone down. Have you ever seen a seeing eye dog? A dog that works with someone who is blind and unable to see? Have you ever seen a service dog? A dog that walks or works beside someone and helps them do different things throughout the day. Pretty amazing. In a hospital in the city, a girl named Jessica was worried. Both her legs were badly hurt. Everyone hoped her right leg would heal, but the doctors had to remove part of her left leg so she could be healthy again. "You're an amputee now, Jessica," the doctor explained. "You have to wear a prosthetic leg or use a wheelchair for the rest of your life." That was hard to hear. She had only ever walked on her own 2 legs. How will I do things on my own? Jessica wondered. How will I be able to walk again? What will my life be like? Her whole family was worried about her, and she didn't want to let anyone down. Are you noticing any similarities between Rescue and Jessica? Yeah, they're both feeling a little worried. They don't want to let anyone down. And their life is going a little differently than they had planned or expected. Back in the country, Rescue was learning how to be a service dog. When he wore his blue cape, that meant he was in training. He had to stay by his partner's side. Good boy. He fetched all kinds of things. He even learned how to open doors. "Rescue, you're a natural," said his trainer. At the hospital, Jessica was learning new ways to do things that used to come easily. She used a wheelchair to get around. She practiced getting out of bed differently. She put on a prosthetic leg so she could stand. She was learning how to walk again, even though her right leg was still hurt. "Jessica, you are becoming strong," said her doctors. We're going to pause here, but if you grab this book, Rescue and Jessica, you'll see how they become amazing friends and how they help each other on their journey through life. Friends, as I mentioned, there are so many ways that we have differing abilities and so many different types of disabilities in our communities. And so if you are curious to learn more, you can do some research. You can go to your local library and ask your librarian. You can check out some of the read-alouds I'll be sharing. You can even go online and Google different abilities or disabilities and read about some things that you are curious about. Of course, if you have a disability or you know someone who does and you have a close relationship with them, you may also be able to ask them to tell you more about their experience. So thank you so much for listening to these stories, and for getting a little bit of an idea of what it might be like to have a disability. Before we go, we're going to take time to do some mindful breathing. And I'm so excited because we're going to use one of my favorite shapes, a rainbow. And this rainbow has 6 colors in it. So we're actually going to do 6 big breaths today. And what we'll do is breathe in as I move my finger up to the top, and then breathe out as I move it down. Let's get ready to breathe. So sit up tall, make sure you're in a comfortable space. Let's start with red. Orange. Yellow. Green. Blue. And pink. Friends, what did you notice about the rainbow breathing we just did? Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I noticed that as we went down and the arches got smaller, our breaths got a little bit shorter. Maybe you enjoyed that breathing activity. Maybe not so much. That's okay. You can always go back and check out the other mindfulness activities at the end of each of my other lessons. And while you're checking those out, make sure you're already subscribed. Before you go, I want to remind you that I love you because you're you, not because of what you do. And I can't wait to see you next time.